Good morning and welcome to Cheat Sheet, the podcast where we do the work so you don't have to. I'm RidgeandFrost.
I'm Sophy Ridge. It is Thursday, the 15th of January. This is what we've got.
A second shooting involving an ICE agent in Minneapolis sparks another wave of protests in America.
Has President Trump climbed down on his threat to introduce military action in Iran?
And the Home Secretary says she doesn't have confidence in the Chief Constable of West Midlands Police, but he still has his job. We'll explain.
There's been a breaking news story overnight. This is the shooting of a Venezuelan man shot in the leg by an ICE officer, so an immigration agent in Minneapolis, and obviously very, very close to the place where Renee Nicole Good was killed by an ICE agent just last week.
Yeah, a highly tense situation there. Police have used tear gas as protests have broken out in response to this shooting. As you said, thankfully in the leg, not believed to be life-threatening, but a reminder of just how tense things are. It happened at about 7 p.m. local time, so sort of midnight-ish, early hours of this morning UK time. So it is an evolving situation. Our US correspondent Martha Kellner was there and got to the scene pretty quickly. Here's a taste of her report.
This is a very dynamic scene here on the ground in Minneapolis. It's exactly a week since Renee Nicole Good was shot dead by an ICE immigration officer. Less than 15 minutes drive away where I am on this street, another person shot in an immigration raid. We believe it's a Venezuelan man who was shot in that operation, not a fatal shot. We believe he is injured though and being treated in hospital. I've also just been speaking to a gentleman who says that his family, a car with 6 of his children inside, was maced by ICE immigration officers. The protest that sprung up here, they've been trying to disperse it by firing pepper bullets and mace and flashbangs. Well, this gentleman says he and his family were unwittingly caught up in that mace got into the car. He said his 6-month-old baby, a 6-month-old baby boy, couldn't breathe, and so he has been taken to hospital. That father praying, hoping that his son will be okay. But you can really sense, or I have been sensing over the past few hours, the level of anger here being directed at ICE agents.
I just want to bring you some of the details of what we do know about this second shooting, because it is quite different, I think it's fair to say, from the first one. So Homeland Security had put out a statement to say, in an attempt to evade arrest, the subject fled the scene in his vehicle, crashed into a parked car. The subject then fled on foot, and then the officer was, they say, violently assaulted as the man resisted arrest. 2 other people allegedly emerged from a nearby home and attacked the officer with a snow shovel and a broom handle, and the department say that he then fired defensive shots to save his life.
So the latest on Iran today, particularly on the question of whether or not we're going to see US intervention, is the rhetoric from President Trump in the last 24 hours less clear that he's going to take action than the prior 24 hours. He was saying yesterday that he had it on good authority that the killing of protesters in Iran has stopped. The day before, he was saying help is on its way. So obviously a change in tone. I always look at the markets. Oil prices fell 3% yesterday when he said that, because conflict in the region would likely withhold supply, and so oil prices had risen a little bit on the expectation of military action. So that just gives you a hint of what market participants are interpreting those comments from him as saying. That said, we should point out that both British and American embassies have been closed in Tehran, and both are withdrawing some personnel from a shared base in Qatar, which can often be a precursor for action. So all eyes continue to see both whether there's going to be US action, but more importantly, whether that message he had on good authority in his words, is accurate, that the killing of protesters has slowed down. I doubt people expect that really to be the case yet.
So we've got an update on Grok, the infamous AI tool of X, Elon Musk's social media website. And if you remember, this all stemmed from the fact that users, and a lot of users, I should say, were using this AI tool to feed it photos and images of women and sometimes girls and children, I should say as well, and asking Grok to put them in string bikinis or whatever. And it then complied. Massive outrage, obviously, as you would expect, it kicked off. Keir Starmer said that he was willing to control X himself if it refused to comply and stop this tool being used. And it also, I think, perhaps even more significantly, was happening in California as well. They announced their own state-level investigation into the spread of sexualized images. And look, guess what? Elon Musk has now stopped Grok having this tool.
Yeah, and they've said the restriction to block that particular function, it was called, I didn't know this, it was called the spicy function. Do you know?
Yeah, I mean, the spicy thing was basically when he said, oh, not everyone can do this, only if you pay money for it, you can get the spicy. I mean, the whole thing beggars belief.
I didn't even know it had that label, which kind of makes it worse. But as you say, they've put out a statement that a new restriction applies to all users, including paid subscribers, and that spicy mode has been withdrawn. Okay, so the UK has sent a single military officer to Greenland.
Yeah, just one. Let's not get too carried away.
Yeah, officer as well. So that, could be a administrative person.
I
read of.
I was trying to find out who it was, and I couldn't find out. It was all very mysterious.
Well, who are you going to ask? Your contacts at James Bond HQ. I'm not sure we'd ever find out exactly the types of people like that goes. But yeah, so we haven't sent a small platoon to Greenland, a small regiment to Greenland, but we sent somebody. It comes, by the way, it was quite headline-grabbing yesterday when I saw that Chancellor Merz of Germany said he's going to send troops there. And I think that seems as well to be a bit of an exaggeration. But clearly Europe is sending a few military people to try and show solidarity. While, by the way, Denmark is sending more of its troops to be stationed in Greenland. And with doing that, they said, ministers from Denmark, we're going to agree to disagree with our American counterparts. So everyone really trying their best to keep a positive tone in the rhetoric, whilst doing something that obviously on the surface can be seen as quite, combative when it involves military personnel.
Yeah, it's a show of support, I think, more than anything else. It's a kind of reconnaissance mission. So Germany, Sweden, Norway, France, they're all sending these people over there. And yeah, it's more about a message, I think, isn't it, to the States than anything else.
Now, I wanted to touch again on Craig Guilford. He's the Chief Constable of West Midlands Police. He's been involved in this controversy over the fact that police force decided to ban fans from Maccabi Tel Aviv from a game against Aston Villa last November. Yesterday on the programme, Sophie, I said after he issued this apology letter that it seemed like he was sort of digging in. You don't do a big apology to Parliament in a letter and not resign. And it seems that's the case.
Yeah, it's actually quite something, because everybody is saying that this guy needs to go, right? So Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, is saying she didn't have confidence in him. Reform have said he should go. The Conservatives have said he should go. There's other voices within the police who are saying, look, this guy's giving us all a bad rep. He needs to get out of here. And yet the reports are this morning that he's lawyering up, that he's resisting it, that he doesn't want to do that. I think there'll be a lot of people saying, well, hang on a minute. If the Home Secretary says she has no confidence in him, can't she just get rid of him? Can't she just sack him? And the answer actually is no. So she doesn't have the power to directly sack somebody in this role. He's obviously the Chief Constable of West Midlands Police. It's all about the separation, I guess, of politics from policing. The only guy who can do it is the Police and Crime Commissioner, Simon Foster. So there's an awful lot of scrutiny now on this guy, Simon Foster. He said he wants to wait for a full parliamentary report until he makes the decision. That won't happen before the 27th of January. So this whole saga is just dragging on.
By the way, great exchanges between Chris Philp and Shabana Mahmood, Shadow Home Secretary, and the Home Secretary yesterday in Parliament on that very topic. And Mahmood was in feisty, fully informed form, and it was a really great set of exchanges. I mean, it is insane even if strictly she can't fire him, which is crazy in itself, if you've heard that the Home Secretary doesn't have confidence in you, I mean, typically that would be more than the final nail in the coffin, and it would be enough for you to realise that you need to go. The letter yesterday of apology was about whether or not he'd misled Parliament when he said we didn't use AI in our gathering of evidence, which has led to this latest bit of uproar. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is he had told MPs that the Jewish community had been consulted about the decision and approved it. That was not true. There are other holes in this, and that part came a few weeks ago. Yeah. So quite extraordinary on every level, as you say, that this is that he's still in place.
Wolf, have you seen this 2016 trend?
I have, because I've prepped for the show.
I love it.
And we have millennials that help us prep for the show. So yes, I've seen
that. That counts. So this is social media, and everyone is throwing back to 2016. They're saying that 2026 is the new 2016 for some reason. I don't know, 2016 is like marked in my brain because it was such a politically important year.
Yeah.
Donald Trump getting elected, Brexit referendum. It felt like, in a way, it was the start of this new era of politics. Although I do think this is all about people just trying to show how hot they were 10 years ago, probably.
Yeah, well, that I think is the undertone, isn't it? The actual trend supposedly is it's the last year people felt like they could freely express themselves on social media, which I find odd. I don't think I've ever changed my approach on social media. I think it's always been a bit weird.
What do you mean, a bit weird?
Sharing your life publicly.
Oh, yeah. Social media.
So I don't think my approach to it has ever changed, although these people are saying, many, many millions of people are saying theirs